DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It's the Monday after the craziness. Tigers lose, but then they won. Tennessee, wow. They hadn't won a conference tournament since 1979, and then they got dissed by the committee. How is Duke a 2-seed? Look at any metric. If they don't have Coach K, they're a 4-seed. Unbelievable. The Grizzlies just keep on winning. Oh, will you win when you fill out your bracket? I think on Wednesday, when I'm in Portland, J-Mo and I will go over our brackets. We'll try to pick the whole thing and see exactly where we stand. So yesterday, going in, I really felt like Memphis was going to win that game. I just, the way they played, I thought they had Houston's number. The old adage that it's hard to win 3 times, and we saw that with SMU. Memphis really wanted to beat SMU. SMU thought, we've got these guys. They can't beat us. We're too good for them. And they gave it a great battle. And that is part of the problem. Memphis, for this championship game, Memphis had to play the late game against UCF, and they started off great in that game, but UCF gave them a little tussle, and that was late, and they had to work hard, and they won going away, but there was a little effort that was put in there. Then they really geared it for for SMU. Again, the late game. Oh, and by the way, we're springing forward after that late game on Saturday against SMU. So you're getting 1 hour less sleep. You've had a real battle. You've had all the late games. And Houston wants you because you've beaten them twice. To me, that's a bad recipe in retrospect. Vegas knew. You know, this is crazy, but how does Vegas know? Vegas picked Memphis over SMU, despite the fact that SMU had handled them easily. Right? And that line started at like 3.5. It went to 5, and it ended up at 4.5. Vegas knew.
I think, Dave, you're absolutely right that Vegas also knows it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. Maybe that's all they were going by.
Maybe so, because they picked Houston to win that game. And I'm going, I don't get it. I don't see how. Fabian White we didn't even know if he was going to play. And that turns out to be a great recipe for them. Calvin Sampson doesn't play that kid. 3 minutes, that's it. Bad back, don't know if he's going to play. He's late for warm-ups. He doesn't do much in warm-ups. We're thinking, man, he's not going to be the guy. And then he's tournament MVP. And he should have been. He's a great player, no question. He's a great player. But Vegas knew, and I hope Vegas knows again, because guess who's favored? In the 8-9 game, Boise and Memphis. Tigers are 2-point favorites by the early line. We'll see how that evolves. But I honestly believe all those little things I just told you, you could tell from the beginning, when you shoot a basketball. J-Mo, what's the most important thing in shooting, particularly a long-range shot?
Well, you got to get your elbow in there. You got to use your legs is the really more important thing.
Legs. That's exactly right. Tigers had no legs yesterday. You could see it from the get-go, and they couldn't hit a 3. You can't win many games when you only make 1 3. And we're doing the research. You got to go back to November of 2021 against Alabama is the last time the Tigers didn't hit a 3. 20 and a half years ago. And it looked for a minute there like that might occur until Lester Quinones finally hit one. And, there's about 12 minutes left now. That's a 4-point game.
Oh, I thought it was less than that. Wow, 12 minutes left is when it happened.
Well, when they closed the gap, there was about 12 minutes left. It was down to 4. I thought that was about the time
I think you're right.
Lester hit the 3. You're not going to win a game when you only hit 1 3 and you let the other team hit 8. The other team was shooting about 40% of them were 3s. So, and then, in the games either in Memphis or at the Fertitta Center, Memphis with fresh legs and a lot of bodies coming at you, were able to turn over Houston. It was the opposite here. Memphis didn't have that want to, that quick step, that will. It was the Tigers who turned the ball over. At one point, points off turnovers were 12-0 Houston. And that's Memphis's game. So that's just not going to happen. And they missed free throws. In the first two games, they were unbelievable, especially at the Fertitta Center, 18 of 19, right? Well, that was not the case this time. So you lose the game. It's not really that disappointing. I mean, you wanted a conference championship, don't get me wrong. You wanted to say, we won 13 of 14. It was not to be seen. You've won 12 of 14. But here's the thing that I really believe. Conference tournaments, based on the brackets, conference tournaments are not high in the selection committee's opinion. Even one of the selection committee chairs said, not the chairs, members, one of the committee members, basically said, we'll have the tournament wrapped up Saturday night. So they weren't even looking at the championship games. And all you have to do is look at Tennessee winning the SEC championship and still not moving up a seed line. Texas A&M getting to the championship game and not even getting in.
I feel like that is I think you're absolutely right. But I personally, and I could be way off here, but I feel like that is a disconnect from fan base's perspectives, clearly the committee's perspective now, and within the program walls. I think conference tournaments is still the championship that these programs are set on far before they get to even thinking about NCAA tournaments.
Well, theoretically, I think you're right, should be right, but it's not that way.
It's apparently not.
It's very clear by the way this committee picked these teams that they didn't care about if you won your conference championship. Because there are so many instances where, and then we talk all year long about the net and how important the net is because that's the formula they're going to use. And explain to me, if you can, and I know they got more quad one wins, but to me the biggest craziness is not Duke and Tennessee. That's pretty crazy, but it's either Oklahoma or Texas A&M. One has a 40, the other has a 42 net. They're not in. Yet Rutgers, 77 in the net, got in. Explain that one to me.
I think the comparison shopping is always tough. I mean, every year you see it, right? There's always teams that you're like, and you leave yourself vulnerable to that when you finish the bracket on Saturday as well, clearly by Texas A&M not getting in. But I think also at the end of the day, if you're these programs, when you put yourself in that position, you leave it up to the committee, and sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. You got to try not to put yourself in that position too, though.
Well, anyway, the way it looks, had Memphis won yesterday, we'll never know this.
Maybe the same spot, though, honestly.
That is what I'm wondering. Or maybe you don't go to Portland. Maybe you're an 8 and you're going to Greenville, South Carolina. Or I really don't know. I'm serious. I don't think they would have been a 7. I don't think they could have moved up enough to be a 7, even though that would have been another quad one win. It would have been their 6th. That's the very first quad one win Houston has. They had one for a while with Oklahoma State, and then they dropped out of that qualification. And I like the fact that it's fluid because that's the way it should be with the net. But they're in Portland for this very reason. I mean, the committee does have a formula. We know they jiggle things around. They have to sometimes because of conferences having too many teams in the tournament. What is it? Who's got 9 teams?
The Big Ten has 9 teams.
Big Ten has 9 teams.
Unbelievable.
So, you have to move your S-curve formula around a little bit because of conferences and everything else. But Memphis was the overall 36th seed. So do the math. That means you're the last of the 9 seeds in. And because of population and where schools are, the least regional school area is the West. So the worst seeds get sent there because they don't get the regional advantage, especially if you're an 8 or a 9 or above that. Now, if you're a 4 seed and maybe you're the last 4 seed, you're going to get some regional advantage, but you're not going to get one as an 8 or a 9.
Certainly not against Boise State out there. Do you have a gauge for, I mean, at least the fans that were in Texas yesterday, how well fans are going to travel to Portland, if
You know
at
what?
all?
I first off, this is what I heard from people trying to get to Portland. How much do you think airfare is?
Ooh, more expensive now than usual.
It's $2,000 for some flights. Now, I will say this, and I need to check with my friend Harold Bird, but the Bartlett Travel, the Birds do this, from the Bank of Bartlett. Bartlett Travel is going to have a charter. That now the airfare and the hotel are included. I don't know about tickets. I think you have to get your own tickets. I'm sure there will be plenty available.
I was about to say, that's the easy part.
It's going to be in the Rose Garden, And so, first of all, the flight is about 3.5 hours. It's a long flight, especially when you don't know what is going to happen, right? You're playing against the Boise team. Oddly enough, Memphis played this Boise team in the NIT last year. Now, it's a little different team. And I don't really know as much about them now as I'm going to know in the next few days, for certain. But I know that Memphis has been made a 2-point favorite, which means we're talking a 50-50 game here. And then you've got to play the number 1 overall seed in Gonzaga. No favors here from the committee. That's for sure. Now, maybe you'd have been an 8 somewhere else if you'd have won. I really don't think it would have mattered much. I think they had in stone Saturday night after Memphis beat SMU. This is their ceiling. This is where they are, the number 36 team. And, let's see. Oh, that matchup between Duran and Holmgren might be really interesting to watch. I don't know. But I don't know that it would have mattered that much if they beat Houston.
Look at Tennessee. I mean, clearly, at least in that scenario, it obviously didn't matter much, if any, at all. It's hard to gauge.
Yeah, right.
And you look at Memphis
as
well.
They stayed a 5 seed, but that's their first quad 1 win. I don't think they deserved anything more than a 5 seed. Now, that UAB game is going to be really interesting, and who's looming there is Illinois or Chattanooga next. You got to figure Illinois is going to win that game. Wouldn't that be something if it was UAB and Chattanooga?
I saw in state of Tennessee on Sportsbooks today they had a Memphis-Tennessee parlay available for everyone in the state if you want to take all the local teams to win.
Wow. UAB and Chattanooga, how far is Birmingham from Chattanooga? Not very far.
No, about 2 hours, I think.
I think less, maybe.
If less, maybe an hour and a half.
Anyway, and they're going all the way to Pittsburgh to play it.
There you go.
But I don't know how many people from Memphis will come. The expense, the distance that you got to travel, and you got a 50-50 game followed by a number 1 seed, and it's the best number 1 seed. But do you know, because they're number 1 in the country, do you know the last time a number 1 AP team won the national title? Going into the tournament, the team that was the final number 1.
Kentucky with Anthony Davis?
2012.
Yeah.
That's the last. Very good, J-Mo.
That is a total guess, but I was just going through the Rolodex, and that seemed like my best shot.
Well, you're a winner.
That's good.
Ding, 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 ding.
Rare occasion.
Anyway, it would be fun, if Memphis gets past Boise. Now, in the words of Landers Nolly yesterday, when we were talking in the room just about him, he goes, yeah, we beat the brakes off that team last year. I should look back. I have not done that yet. I can't remember what the final score was.
59-56.
In the NIT?
In the NIT.
It was 59-56.
That's
was
right.
that close?
Yeah, it's the final score.
Wow. Well, and they've lost a couple of guys. There was one guy that was that went into the NBA draft. I'm pretty sure that was on that team. But so they're a little different. But
2 6'10" guys on this roster.
Yeah, they're
too.
big.
One of them's a senior. He's a big boy here.
They're big. They're real big. But Memphis is big.
No kidding.
Between
No kidding.
Duran and Williams, and throw in Malcolm, throw in Lawson. Not a small team.
Not at all. And Duran's playing his best basketball of the year, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is so excited. I was thinking about this weekend, too. Not to diminish any five-star guards. They're all really good players. Look at Kennedy Chandler. Look at these guys. But it is a different level when you get a five-star center than getting a five-star guard, because a guy that size, that dominant, can make up for so many deficiencies that your team has in a way that a five-star guard just is unable to do.
He is a good defender. He can block shots. He's
no
an
doubt.
Unbelievable rebounder. He's only gotten better and better as the year has gone on. His strength is deceiving.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he pushes people around even though he's just 18 years old. No, he's really developed into a terrific player. And, yesterday he had his 8th double-double. And most of these double-doubles have come later in the year as he has gotten better and better, and his footwork's improved, and he's gotten a better understanding of how you have to play at this level. He's going to be, I think, a top 10 pick, maybe as high as 7.
Absolutely. I don't think you could pick him high enough, honestly.
I'm with you. He's been a pleasure to watch, and I hope we get that Holmgren and Duran matchup. Wouldn't that be something?
Two vastly different players that both their stock is rising with every passing day.
Oh yeah. So that part, I think, is going to be fun. But and then if you were to win that game against Gonzaga, you know who most likely you're going to face?
Oh, who's that?
Arkansas.
There you go. Local game.
We get some great local flavor, and I think Penny and Musselman are trying to put together a series. I think we're supposed to play Arkansas here in the future. Wouldn't that be nice if that was a Sweet 16 game?
That's a lot of looking ahead.
Now I am dreaming. And you're a little bummed from yesterday because you wanted to win the title. And then, honestly, other people are going, hey, if we do it, we could be a 7 seed. And if you're a 7 seed, you can do some damage. And then, and this is tough. Because you're getting sent all the way out west. And you think about it. This was a championship game that they played on Sunday. Now, the committee didn't know that the airplane wasn't going to come and get the team home till 12:30. But now you basically sleep late today. Oh, and by the way, you're leaving tomorrow, and we still don't know when you're leaving tomorrow, to go 3.5 hours, and you've got an obligation for that open practice and a real practice on Wednesday, and then you're playing a game at 10:45 in the morning in Portland. I mean, this is not the most ideal setup that you could possibly get.
And that Wednesday practice, while it is a real practice, it's not a real practice. There's so many stipulations. You can't touch the ball till this time. When the buzzer comes out, you got to put the ball up.
No, that's all show. They're going to have a real practice at a high school.
Oh, good. That's
either
big time.
Prior or after.
They need to.
Oh, they always do.
That's big time.
That's the way it always works. No, that is. You know what that is? That is a glorified walkthrough where you get to wow people with crazy 3-point shots or dunks. That's what they do in these things, and the fans, whoa, wow.
Maybe a one-on-one at the end, whoever wants to play.
Right. So, that all that will be interesting. One more thing before we take a break. You know what happens in March Madness, don't you? It's also firing season. So, in the SEC, 4 of the 14 gone, Will Wade, and that was bizarre. How many times have you seen a coach right before his team is playing in his conference tournament and then knowing they were going to make the NCAA and they let Will Wade go?
Never seen it before.
That is wild. Ben Howland allowed to coach his team in the NIT, and they got a wild first-round matchup. Oh, it's with Virginia. There may be no points scored in that game. Could be the first shutout in history. Tom Crean got let go at Georgia, Conzo Martin at Missouri. So those 4. And then in the American, say goodbye to Joe Dooley, say goodbye to Frank Haith. I was surprised about Dooley, not Haith. I wasn't sure if they could buy out Haith, to be honest with you, because I don't think Tulsa has an enormous amount of money. But the Joe Dooley thing, I mean, that team was decent for them, and that's the second time he was there. He was trying to bring some continuity, and they didn't see eye to eye.
Which is sometimes it's just about a fit,
Yeah.
And don't forget Georgia, too, hiring Mike White away from Florida
Yeah.
Which is another talk about situation you've never seen before. That's wild. In the same league, guys.
Well, I know that probably bummed out some Ole Miss people.
No kidding.
A lot of people thought he would end up at Ole Miss.
Now
but
we're keeping
I'm
Kermit.
going to tell you this. You know, what White is doing is I'm getting out of town before the posse gets me. I'm going to reset my clock, and I'm going to go from a team that has won national titles. I'm going to go to a program that can't do anything.
With a lot of money. Not that Florida is cheap. I mean, or doesn't have a lot of money either, but certainly Georgia's willing to spend it.
I have never understood when you got a market like Atlanta and you're the state school and you play in a league like the SEC, how can they not get all those athletes to stay home and win? And maybe with the NIL money in this day and age and transfer portals, White will get it together. It seems to me Georgia should be able to win. It's a little like South Florida. I'm a little surprised Brian Gregory hasn't been let go yet, but South Florida, no one is really – well, Seth Greenberg did a decent job at Tampa, but that is a sleeping giant. You got the Tampa market. Their facilities are decent. It's Tampa.
Is that a commuter school kind of like Memphis and Cincinnati and stuff like that?
There's a few more residences, but it is a little bit in that mode. I think UCF is a little more on-campus stuff than USF, but USF is trying to grow it. They're going to build their own football stadium on campus. The campus it's unbelievable how it's grown in the last 10 years. You know, all these they got 70,000 students at UCF, 50,000 plus at Tampa at USF. It's incredible what is going on with all of that. Oh, and by the way, Tom Brady, unretired? What? Yes. Tom Brady, unretired. We're going to talk in a matter of moments with our friend TJ Reeves about that. Jason Munz is going to join us on the other side. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the super tune-ups. And I got guys coming today. We've had this little problem, so they're taking care of us. They always go the extra mile at Conway. 384-3511. I think it's important twice a year you tune up your air conditioning system and then your heating system in the winter. Now it's air conditioning time. It really is. You have them come out, $69. They do this super tune-up inside and outside your house. They are really diligent, and they look for every little detail to make sure your system lasts longer and your MLGW bill goes down. 384-3511, Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. If you are a self-motivated person and you want a new job challenge, a new career, a new direction, go see my friends at Family Leisure, because they've got positions all over the place. Swimming pool, hot tub, patio, furniture salespeople needed in all those areas. Chemical sales associates. We're talking service technician. You got to have a driver's license for that. And installing crews for above-ground pools. It's really simple to apply. Either go to the store, go to Memphis at FamilyLeisure.com, or call 371-9090. You want to work for a great new company? Oh, yeah, please. Go see my friends at Family Leisure. Back in a minute to Tampa we go. TJ Reeves is next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, friends. I'm Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and for 5 decades, we've been the personal jeweler to thousands of Memphians and Mid-Southerners. For many, many years, we've been offering the finest and beautiful jewelry to help our customers celebrate those very special occasions and let their loved ones know just how treasured they are. Diamonds and gemstones are our specialty, and set in whatever she wants, a ring or a pendant, a pair of earrings or a bracelet. We search the world's most fabulous jewelry markets, looking for pieces that are not only exquisite and beautiful, but that are also unique and eye-catching. We can help you make her smile in a way that neither one of you will ever forget. Come see us at Russell Brothers Jewelers. Let us put our many years of experience to work for you. Let us help you say, I love you in the most wonderful way you can imagine. 5 decades providing beauty, value, quality, and service. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Brian Elders Roofing Solutions. is. If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Is your company going through a merger or downsizing and you feel your job is in jeopardy? Don't delay. Call Pro Resume, the #1 source for professional resumes in the Mid-South. Go to proresume.biz or call 685-1950, the fastest way to a new job.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
She's a good girl.
So TJ Reeves joins us now. He's very nice because he's so busy to pre-record this thing. And let's start with this. What's up with Tom Brady? He's got to basically take all the glamour of the selection show away and unretire? I mean, what the heck?
All I know is I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with you. First of all, good morning. Happy March, Tiger fans. The Tigers are back in. We love that. Wolo's got to scramble to Portland. I understand that. I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth with you. I'm working the Conference USA title game. UAB won the game. I'm flying back Sunday morning. You stayed in Dallas-Fort Worth, and you're working the championship game against Houston. I'm getting ready for the selection show like everybody else, like millions of others. I'm getting ready to do our selection show that we're doing on TuneIn and on podcast form on college basketball coast to coast. I had an inkling that something was up because a couple of people had been chirping about Brady being at the Manchester United soccer game Saturday, which he was. The Glazers that own the Buccaneers, the Glazer family, own Manchester United. So an eyebrow got raised that Brady was at that soccer game Saturday. I had no inkling that we were going to get an announcement right after the selection show, Wolo. So we're all going along with our brackets, our picks. You're trying to fly back from Fort Worth after the Tigers game with Houston, and all of a sudden, bam, there it is on social media. I, like everybody else, am going, gosh, right after the selection show, he's decided he's back. He put it on social media. And this area, Tampa Bay area, erupted. This phone that I'm holding up and showing you erupted. Here we go, Wolo. There you go.
Well, it is craziness. And I've heard the rumor. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if you know it's true. But the Glazers obviously not only own that soccer team, but they also own a ton of stuff, including your Buccaneers. And that to entice Brady, they offered him a portion of the team, some ownership. Is there any accuracy to that?
Well, and we don't know what the truth is. And again, an active player, because more than one person's bringing this up, an active player can't be part of an ownership group of the team. Now, did they promise him something down the road? That could potentially happen too. Did they promise him something with Manchester United and maybe owning part of Manchester United? Because keep in mind, just real quick for the audience, that soccer team in Europe and worldwide is like the New York Yankees. They are like the Dallas Cowboys, the LA Lakers. It is a huge deal. It is arguable that Ronaldo, the star player, is more famous, hard to believe, not in this country, is more famous worldwide and in Europe than Tom Brady. There was Ronaldo on Saturday after the game that he scored a hat trick in, Wolo, on the field talking to Tom Brady. There's an internet video with somebody that's got the internet video where you can hear Ronaldo saying, "Are you done?" And it sounds like Brady is saying one more. It sounds like Brady is saying one more year. So that's the internet clues. So maybe it is part ownership too of the Manchester. I don't know what the truth is. I'm just excited he's back. And here's the crazy part. Today is the day that free agency begins in the NFL. So as we are going to bed last night, I'm going, how many free agents are the Bucks going to be able to sign? Well, they've already re-signed the center Ryan Jensen to a new 3-year deal. He was an unrestricted free agent. Is Leonard Fournette going to sign? Now, are there going to be a couple of other guys sign in the 12 or 14 hours after this announcement? Wolo, we'll see.
Well, including Gronk. It's crazy. I just don't understand because it's not like I know Tom Brady.
Right.
But this just seems so weird to retire and then unretire, within 2 months?
Yep. Well, and his family, Giselle, his kids, I know his kids were kind of tugging at him here about you can still do this. Because, again, I can't stress enough. I kept coming on with you. He still got it. At the end of the season, he was still throwing lasers. It's not like his health was breaking down. This is not like Peyton Manning, Wolo, at the end of his career where he could barely throw the ball 20 yards down the field and it was their defense that won the Super Bowl. So I think physically he could still do it. I know there were Buccaneer teammates tugging at him too. Let's come back for one last ride here if it is one last ride. One last dance like your Chicago Bulls, whatever it is. And the man made his decision. Just like he made the decision to walk away, he made the decision to walk right back in the door. And this is going to be a mad scramble this morning on how many more free agents can the Bucs sign of their own before the free agency period begins coming up here. And by the way, there's going to be free agents from other teams that will take minimal money to come try to win a ring with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now that Brady is back.
Crazy story, that is for sure. It might have taken a little bit away from Selection Sunday. Not a whole lot because we still have a tournament. Tigers are in for the first time in 8 years. Since 2014. That's the good news. The bad news is you got to go all the way to Portland. So you're in Dallas-Fort Worth on Sunday. We have a plane issue. We don't come back. We don't land until like 12:30 in the morning Monday. And tomorrow, Tuesday, they got to take off for a 3.5-hour plane ride to Portland. They got to practice on Wednesday. They play the game, and it's early. It's 10:45 in Portland on Thursday against Boise, a team they played in the NIT last year and beat. But, that's a 50-50 game. And then, you got to play the number one seed. It's not a great deal.
Hey, but the fact that we're having this conversation, I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for so many people, friends and family that still root for the Tigers. My father's an alum. He was going crazy. I mean, that Houston win last Sunday put the Tigers in. I mean, we can say that now. They solidified their spot. I mean, they're all the way up, Wolo, to a 9 seed. Solidified their spot with the win over SMU.
They're the
obviously.
number 36 overall seed.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why when you're the last 9 seed, because strictly of region, a regional population in schools, they send the lower seeds in each category out west, and that's why Memphis is important.
Hey, it's great to have them back in. They got in and SMU did not. 2 teams from the American. I don't understand. Look, and I have no love for the Tennessee Vols, and I know you got a lot of Vol fans that listen to Wolo and friends and listen to the station on Sports 56. I'm going to stand up for them. They won the SEC tournament here in Tampa. How are they a 3? And Kentucky maybe on overall body of work, but they beat Kentucky twice late in the year, and they won the tournament. The fact that this committee every year devalues tournament wins, I mean, what is up with the fact that Auburn and Kentucky, who Tennessee beat down the stretch, beat Kentucky twice down the stretch, are both seated in front of them? Look at Tennessee's metrics on the net ranking, the KenPom ranking, the number of quad 1 wins, the fact that Tennessee won the SEC tournament and Duke did not. How is Duke a 2 seed? We know why, Coach K. How is Duke metrically justifiable to be a 2 and not Tennessee, Dave Wolosh?
Well, you answered the question right there. You said Coach K, his last dance, and it really is not fair to the University of Tennessee. They get the run to the deal is because, as you just said, if you measure Duke with every metric and you match it up like a blind resume with Tennessee wins every time except for Coach K. They gave them the break. Here's the other one I don't
on
get.
The front of the jersey. Name on the front of the jersey matters.
Well, how about Rutgers? Rutgers has a 77 net. A&M has a 40 net, and A&M is the 4th team
It makes no sense.
As a standby. That means
It's
they
almost
missed by 3 other schools.
Well, no, it's almost like they disregarded A&M beating Auburn and beating Arkansas on the weekend in the SEC tournament, which vaulted them up in the net about 15 spots. Those 2 wins, it didn't end up mattering to that committee.
Well, think about this.
Yeah.
The value of the tournament proposition is correct, because there was a committee guy that we heard, and I can't remember who it was, on Saturday saying by Saturday night, all the decisions will be made. So that told you right there were 3 or 4 games that were going to be played on Sunday, championship games, including Houston and Memphis, that were not going to be put into the equation.
In terms of the seeding, in terms of where you're going in the seeding. And obviously Richmond punched their ticket and got a second team in from the Atlantic 10. So that bumped Dayton out, their fellow conference member, because they're the 69th team. They're the last at-large team. And obviously Virginia Tech winning. I mean, the fact that Virginia Tech beat Notre Dame, beat North Carolina, and still had to beat Duke just to be an 11 seed tells you Virginia Tech was not likely in had they not beaten Duke. They weren't going to get an at-large bid. I'll tell you one more thing before I got to get out of here, and you got to get out of here too. UAB is dangerous in that game with Houston in that upcoming 5-12 team. Veteran guards for Andy Kennedy's team. They've got some size. I think they can give Houston some trouble. And Houston obviously was very good on Sunday, but they've been erratic a bit down the stretch here. And UAB can shoot the 3. Be careful in that 12-5 game. I just saw UAB while you were watching Houston, Wolo.
Yeah, I think that UAB thing will be really a lot of fun to watch. And the winner, that's going to get Illinois. So that's intriguing in its own right. TJ Reeves, I know you're busy. We thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I want to let everybody know you don't have any NCAA games, do you? What are you going to do
any
now?
NCAA games. I'm still doing stuff for TuneIn and the TuneIn app, the College Basketball Coast to Coast channel. We got a streaming show on right there, so thank you for that. It's in podcast form. It's on TuneIn. We'll be doing stuff before the tournament games, after the games, previews, recaps, all the way through the Final Four. And I have a live show that's coming right now during your show. So we taped this. We made technology work, and we got this done. Go Tigers. Be safe getting to Portland, Dave Woloshin.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We'll talk to you next week. In the meantime, let me take a break. When we come back, Jason Munz will join us from Dallas-Fort Worth. Oh, yeah, we're having fun on a crazy Monday as you listen to Wolo and Friends.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world at sports56whbq.com or on the Sports 56 app.
Get in the game, Mid-South. Coach Colin
and Coach Hunter here from DeSoto Auto Sales.
We're maniacs for all this madness.
But if we're going to catch all these games, we need your help.
So we cooked up a 3-point plan to help you
rebound from your old ride. 1.
Pick any nicer, newer car on the lot.
2.
Pass us your old ride.
3.
Will come in with the assist.
And give you up to $3,000 more than Kelley Blue Book value.
Based on the price of the car you pick.
So if your old rod makes you feel second string,
it's time for a rebound.
Because you could get up to $3,000 more than it's worth.
Worried about fouls on your credit report?
Our For the People credit approval process is a slam dunk.
But hurry.
This deal's done at the buzzer.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Hunter, and we're your dealers.
For the people. See all the cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com.
That's DeSotoAutoSales.com.
Credit requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price determines actual trade allowance. Negative equity may be refinanced. Kelley Blue Book is a registered trademark of the Kelley Blue Book Company Incorporated, which is not affiliated with DeSoto Auto Sales. Offer absolutely ends March 31st, 2022.
Start your bracket with a bang. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving new customers a $150 instant bonus guaranteed. You'll get $150 in bonus site credit, and all you have to do is place your first bet of $5 or more. How you bet the bracket is up to you. Plus, with cash out, you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. Join FanDuel today with promo code CASH. Then you can place your $5 bet to score $150 in bonus site credit. Guaranteed. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We've all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, that's not possible. There are aerial pictures that can be taken every 4 years that can be used to measure most buildings, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one looking at pictures that could be 4 years old. If you'd rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, give us a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best service we know how to give. Fiveash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Why don't you all fade away?
Welcome back in. Our title sponsor is Homer Skelton Hyundai. That is in Olive Branch. That is right at the corner of Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi and Highway 78. You know, that's Lamar in Memphis. Turn left, you go see Chris True. And here's what Chris True pledges to you, because they do car business, I think, the right way, the standard of the way car business should be done. He says you'll never pay more than sticker price. There's a bunch of different car dealerships that might not be going by that philosophy. You know, the law of supply and demand. Not at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You never pay more than sticker price. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by the good folks at Old Dominick. Old Dominick is your hometown distillery. They're big Tiger supporters. I wonder if any of those guys will be headed to Portland. They may be. I know this. If you want to really visit them, go to their place, 305 South Front Street. It is the only Memphis distillery tour, 45 minutes, that is really cool. They have their own bar after hours. It's neat. They've got mixologists, if you fancy an old-fashioned, all made with the Old Dominick spirits, which is really cool. And, by the way, if you do that tour, you'll learn the craft of distilling. It's neat. It's a really interesting place. That bar is elegant, not stuffy. I think you'll enjoy it. That is Old Dominick. In the meantime, let's check in and see what our friend Jason Munz, the beat reporter for the Commercial Appeal, thought about yesterday's game, what he thinks about the seeding and the long trip ahead to Portland, Oregon. Let me first find out, Jason Munz, where the heck are you?
I am in Cumbie, Texas, literally at just a quick stop right on the side of the road in Cumbie, Texas.
So are you coming home and then flying to Portland, or how are you going to do this?
Yeah, that's the plan. I was able to find this has been tricky. I'm sure I don't know, maybe you fly with the team. So
No, I know it's even tricky for the team, because I don't think the team is finding out when the NCAA charter, because for the NCAA tournament, just so people know, if you make the tournament, they actually supply the airplane for you. So you get a limited amount of seats, but thank goodness broadcasters are allowed on that thing. But we're not going to even know till later today when you're leaving tomorrow. So it's crazy. And then I was listening to some fans were trying to get tickets last night, scrambling on their cell phones. And some people were saying the ticket prices for airplanes were as high as $2,000.
Correct. That is correct. That is accurate. We were able to figure out a way to get there for less than that. Now, coming back is the tricky part. We have not yet secured a ticket to come back, just because, obviously we don't know exactly when that will be. But that's a worry for another day.
Yeah. Wow. So what were your thoughts about yesterday? I thought fatigue clearly played a role in this thing.
Yeah, I did too. And the old saying is it's hard to beat somebody 3 times in a year, and that That's an old saying for a reason. And Houston has seen Memphis a lot. They've seen each other a lot in the last month. And but no, I think the game against SMU was extraordinarily physical and intense, and that very clearly had an effect on Memphis. And I mean, you look, what were they, 1 of 10, I think, from 3-point range. So that was really very clear. And then I think it finally caught up to them, the struggles of Tyler Harris and Landers Nolly. Finally caught up to them. Neither one of them really were on at all from the field the entire tournament. And I think you can only go so far when 2 of your best shooters are not shooting all that well.
Yeah. I think the lateness of the games and the fact that Memphis had 2 tough battles, in particular SMU, and Houston kind of skated, and they had an easy game against the 5-seed Tulane, and it was earlier in the day. I thought it did. And look, they had the real desire to show everybody they could beat Memphis. Memphis had beaten them twice, and it's a little like SMU. I thought SMU thought, Memphis can't beat us, and then look what happened. And the same sort of attitude, I think, kind of came in there yesterday. And Kelvin Sampson's son came over to us at our spot as they were celebrating their championship, and it was really nice of him to do that. And he came over and said to Matt Dillon and I, Memphis pushed us. We couldn't be this good if Memphis hadn't pushed us, and we're both going to go on a run now. So they got UAB to start with, and obviously they're a 5 seed. They would we'll see, exactly how that plays out, because I think if they do win that game, they got Illinois, and I think they got a shot at that. I think they're a very good team. Fabian White's really good. Edwards can be tough. Tajay Moore's underrated. So I think they're a pretty good team. I think they got about the right seeding. I don't know if Memphis' seed would have changed yesterday had they even won the game, Jason.
Yeah, I think that's, if it did, maybe you don't have to go to Gonzaga. Like, maybe you're still a 9, but maybe you don't go to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Go to the
West
go
region.
to Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might have been the only thing that changed under those circumstances, and you don't have to potentially face the number 1 overall seed and that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, I think that there is a decent chance that both Memphis and Houston, at the very least, win their first round games. I don't know. It's going to be tough. But, Boise and Memphis are both very different teams than they were this time a year ago. Boise's leading scorer did not play in that game last year. Obviously, Memphis lost some guys, brought some guys in, didn't have Alex Lomax. Boogie Ellis and DJ Jeffries were the leading scorers in that game. And, obviously they're no longer at Memphis. But there was like 3 guys, I think, that played significant minutes for Boise State in that game last year, and they're not there anymore. So it's going to be, you look at certain things as far as recency is concerned, but you don't want to put too much stock into how that game played out last year.
And this year's team is, I think, even bigger. They got 2 6'10" guys that play a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. For the most part, Jalen Duren and DeAndre Williams haven't had to, they haven't gone up against teams that look like them usually. Some teams might have 1 big, Houston's got Josh Carlton. I don't know if I put Fabian White and Reggie Chaney into that category.
I'd say that Fabian White plays pretty big. Reggie Chaney's injured. He's not as good a player as he really is. He's trying to play through injury.
Yeah, but Fabian, like he's expanded his game, so he's not, quote unquote, like a true big, and I guess neither is DeAndre, but yeah, it's going to be. I mean, they're in a very big part of the bracket. I mean, even if they are able to get past Boise State, you got 7-foot Chet Holmgren with Gonzaga and 6'10" Drew Timme. So
yeah, that may be the best front court in the country.
Yeah. So, I mean, Penny's been saying that he thinks that Jalen Duren and DeAndre Williams are the best front court in the country. So maybe we're going to see, maybe we'll settle that debate here in just a few days.
Well, it's a 50-50 proposition when you got an 8-9 anyway, for the most part. If you look at the overall historical odds, and then, you got the number one seed after that. So this is obviously going to be a great test. And I think Memphis, I don't think the committee tried to, kind of job the Tigers. I think they have a pretty steady formula with an S curve, and Memphis was rated the number 36 overall seed. So that's the last 9 seed, and that's why they got put there. So you're right. If there had been a win against Houston, maybe they'd have moved to an 8, but maybe they would have moved up a spot or 2 and not had to go out west, because this is not easy. Boise's already there, right?
Yep.
Memphis, as we mentioned, didn't get home until 12:30 last night. Now they're going to have to get up 3.5-hour trip, early practice on Wednesday because you've got the mandatory open public practices that are a shoot-around, and then you got to play at 10:45 Portland time in the morning. That's not easy. They got the raw end of that deal. But, here's the committee did some weird things. Besides Duke and Tennessee and A&M not getting in and Rutgers getting in, even though there's about a 37 net difference in those things. How about Wyoming? Wyoming gets in, so they're in the Tuesday game. So normally you get some kind of a break on regions if you're a Portland and you got to play in Dayton. If you're Wyoming, you got to play in Dayton on a Tuesday. So they're playing Indiana on a Tuesday, and if they win that game, they got to fly to Portland. So they got to fly all the way from Wyoming to Dayton, play a game, get up, or right after it, because it's already Wednesday, right? Fly to Portland to get ready to play on Thursday. Yeah, that to me is nuts.
Talk about being behind the 8 ball. My goodness.
I mean, you would have thought they would put them in Indy so they could just, regionally have a chance to get their legs underneath them.
Yeah, that's something else. I mean, that's a Wyoming team that is one of only 2 teams that has a win over Boise State since like December. Boise has lost just 3 times since December. I think twice to Colorado State and once to Wyoming. So, yeah, that's really, really strange. But I mean, it's an imperfect deal, and you can't. It seems like there's usually one. Every year is good for one quirk, but that's quite a quirk right there.
It is. So a hard question for you here. Yep. Do you consider, because they were 9-8 and reeled off 12 out of 13, do you consider this already a success to end the drought of 8 years and get to the NCAA tournament? Or do you think they have to win at least one game and get to that second slot against the number 1 team in the country for this to be successful?
I think that's a really, really good question. I don't know the answer. I mean, because I think, and I say that because I think that you're going to have probably equal amount of people on both sides of that debate. I think there's going to be people who say, gosh, this is a goal, right? Getting to the NCAA tournament is a goal. Memphis hasn't been there in 8 years. They finally got there. They overcame so much to do it, and they're there. And that's one side of it, right? And then the other side of it is like, well, like we could have been so much better. Like things could have been so much better if things were handled differently early on. And so for that reason, I'm disappointed, because if we had done a few things differently, maybe we're not a 9 seed. Maybe we're looking at a much better outlook. And of course, you always want to win. Like whenever you go to these things, you want to win. And so when you don't, if you don't, that's disappointing. But I think if that's how it plays out, let's say Memphis loses to Boise on Thursday, I think it's going to sting in the short term, but long term, you're going to look back on it. You're going to say the season was a success because of everything you had to get over, all the obstacles that they were faced with, that they overcame to finally get that monkey off their back and get back into it. I think once you kind of step back and look at it, it's going to be viewed as a success. And if you win, however many games you win, it'll be, that'll kind of be so much the better.
Well, who knows? Maybe they beat Boise. Maybe they pull the shocking upset, because the last number 1 AP team to finish the year that won the tournament was 10 years ago, Kentucky in 2012. So crazy things can occur. Maybe we see Arkansas in a Sweet 16 game. Wouldn't that be something? So there's still a lot of different storylines to talk, and we'll chat with you, provided that our schedules for travel allow, Friday, same time. Actually, about 10:25.
Yeah, whatever works. I'm flexible.
Thank you. Safe travels, my friend. I appreciate your time today.
Okay, see you in a little bit.
That is the great beat writer from the Commercial Appeal for the Tigers. That is Jason Munz. He is brought to you by the Spirit Shop. That's the place. Ooh, I love talking about the Spirit Shop. That is the place that is right at Poplar and St. Nick. That is the place where you have to restock after drowning your sorrows from not winning the championship game. Or maybe you depleted your supply cheering on the Tigers in the semifinal win. It could have been over SMU getting one on them this year. Anyway, you look at it, whatever you want to sort of celebrate with or drown your sorrows with, whether that's bourbon or champagne, whether it's a great wine or an up-and-comer, whether it's beer, because they got all the local local beers from all of the different places. They got it all there. They got accessories. They got whatever you need. That's the Spirit Shop, the little log cabin. You pass it by all the time, right down from Clark Tower, right at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar Avenue. More on the NCAA and a whole bunch. That'll come with John Harden here, Johnny Radio, in just 1 minute. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around